Hello, friends, and welcome to the CRE with CBC Worldwide podcast, Women of Coldwell Banker Commercial Edition. I am your host, Jenna Hille, and each episode we highlight real stories, smart strategies, and current trends from women who are leading the way in commercial real estate. I am so glad you are here. Whether you are brand new to the industry or a seasoned professional, this space is about learning, connecting, and being inspired by the incredible women shaping our fields. Today, I am excited to introduce our guest, Maranda Auzenne. Miranda is the president of Transitions Interim PM Solutions, where she helps clients navigate property and project management transitions with clarity and confidence. Beyond her business leadership, she's now serving her second year on City Council in Texas, where she brings her commercial real estate expertise into civic leadership, always focused on understanding how the city can truly partner and work with you. Miranda, welcome to the podcast. I am so thrilled to have you here.
Well, thank you, Jenna, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And so thank you for that. And I want to tell you also that I'm so proud of the work that you're doing and the way that you amplify the voices of women. And so I'm excited to be here and looking forward to this discussion.
I appreciate you saying that, and I am so happy to have you here as well. Let's kick things off by talk to me a little bit about how you got involved in commercial real estate journey. Kind of what was your transition into that field? What interests you? How did you get started?
Well, let's see. So early on, I started out in business development. So, sales, I was selling advertising, anything that was brand related, even, branded promotional products, cups, pens, pencils. I did it all. And that's what I really started to understand the value of, of relationships and found that I was good at cultivating those relationships. So much so that the next job that I went to was actually a former client who reached out to me and hired me into a space that I had no background in. So they hired me on early on as an office manager in a commercial real estate company. And so I did a little bit of operations and managed the office. And they specifically like my problem solving, the way that I went about problem solving. And from there, because I now had some operations background, I went to work for what is now one of the largest international accounting firms, and I was over their national operations. So I oversaw construction of Class A office space all over the country and into Canada. Everything from design to ensuring that the workstations and offices were set and ready. And I did that all over the country at the time when that company they were experiencing tremendous growth. So a lot of good experience there. I left there and I had a very short stint, I will say, at a national real estate company. It's now one of the largest real estate companies. And it's funny. I was thinking, why did I leave that company? One, it wasn't like I never got settled. It wasn't a good fit for me.
Cultural fit is important too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this was the first time that I recall that gas was $4 a gallon.
Woo!
And I was traveling quite a way, so it was a perfect opportunity to look for something else. And so there happened to be this new property that was 1.5 miles from my home. And it was this beautiful new, one of the earliest in Texas, open air, mixed use lifestyle centers.
Oh, yeah.
And it was it was around the corner from my house. I had, no real background in managing a large, 700,000 square foot, 77-acre shopping center.
Sure, but
But
with perhaps at $4 and you're being a
yeah,
mile away, we will
that's
make it work.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's exactly right. And so I went and I saw my job as explaining how, you know, all the skills I had, you know, up until this point sort of translated or were transferred into this new position, and it worked. So I was hired, and it was at that property for almost 10 years. I went through a couple of um, acquisitions and such. But at about the 9-year mark, I knew that, although I'm the crazy lady that loves property management, I didn't want to do on-site property management anymore.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so I became very vocal about that I could do more and should be doing more. Took on additional projects, just to sort of make everyone aware of what I was capable of. And from there, I was asked to come to corporate, uh, to work on the corporate side of things as a senior asset director. 2 years after that, I was promoted to VP of property management. And almost 2 years after that, I was promoted to senior vice president of property management. And so I've had a really amazing career in property management in a space that I love.
Yeah.
I always say that the last position that I held there, um, I felt like it was curated just for me. Of all the jobs I've ever had, I got to take the best part of them, and that was the job that I had. And so I did decide after about 10 years that it was kind of time to move on. And then so that's when I decided to just sort of rest and figure it out. And while I was off resting, um, and I hope we'll get to talk a little bit more, about this. But while I was off resting, I launched my company last year, and so now I am the president of my own company. It's
Congratulations.
going. I'm so excited. It's going great. Um, so this is kind of a funny thought I had, Jenna, when I was thinking of this opportunity to talk to you. I remember growing up. Um, I knew exactly what I wanted to be. So I wanted to be this person. So you're watching TV and there's like chaos and mayhem or a catastrophe or there's an emergency and there's noise and activity um and then there's this person that just sort of strolls onto the scene. They step up to the mic and they, in just a few words, calm the situation. There's nothing to see here. I didn't know what that title was, but I will tell you now, all these years later, I found myself in property management, and there are certainly elements of that scene all the time throughout my years in property management. So in the end, I sort of got to do what I wanted to do when I grow up.
I That's such a beautiful journey and a beautiful story because and I can't help but reflect on my own there, where you don't necessarily start with something that's in the fields. You started in sales and then the operations, but through those different jobs and those different sectors, like I was in the medical industry, early childhood education, but you pick up all of these skills that you can adapt and use in different fields. And I think that's the most important thing, is making sure that
Yes.
what you're learning from each of those opportunities, and then you can apply that learning into something new. And it's so great that you had such a great relationship early on, that they were able to put you in a role that maybe you weren't quite ready for, but you rose to the challenge and were very successful, and now you have launched your own company.
Yeah.
It'll be a year coming up, shortly, so I'm really
Yeah.
excited.
We
Congratulations.
just reached the year mark. So that's right. That's been
And
great.
so tell me more about you said you were the SVP of development for a while?
I was SVP of property
Property
management and
management.
asset management.
And
Yeah.
asset
Yeah.
management.
Yeah.
So, what was that experience like? Or tell me a little bit more about working in that realm.
Well, first off, I loved it, and it was mainly because of um, the teams. Having national teams. Um, it was really important for me to make authentic connections with the teams, to advocate for them. That's the thing that I love most: the teams, and then being able to truly be a part of the strategy, the direction of the company, but surely property management. And so that's what I love the most: being on sort of the ground floor of decisions that were made. Um, and I've always been that person that I felt it was my duty to make sure that other people acknowledged, you will acknowledge the value of property management.
Yes.
And
Well,
so,
I think people are
yeah,
really aware of how important property management is these days.
yeah, yeah. And so I was the banner carrier for that messaging. And
Part of the
I
time
loved
it
going
comes
into
here.
those spaces to communicate that. Yeah.
So tell me more about in terms of the clients you worked with and, the type of demands that they had, what did that look like when you were starting around, those property management divisions? What were the biggest, projects or maybe issues or what surprised you most about working with some of those clients?
Yeah, I think for one of the biggest issues, and it has been consistent, is um, involving property management um, early on,
Mhm.
and because when the development is over or when the leasing is done, what is left is the property management team to help to ensure the success of the property. So that's the first thing, and I think that you know that really comes from just being excellent, you know, it y not perfection, but just showing up in an excellent way, and then all of a sudden, people are really listening to what it is that you have to say and what you have to offer. So that was a hurdle. Um, when I first entered into property management, it was in 2007 or 8, and there was an economic downturn.
Yep.
So I will tell you that coming in, I didn't know that sort of the old school way was landlord versus tenant. I didn't know. I was new. And here we were in this difficult time. And it just made sense to me that no, we need to be partners in this. Let's talk about, how we can be partners and how your success is our success. And I had no idea that that was a sort of a new way of thinking. It was just really out of necessity of this is how we can all be successful together.
Absolutely. And I know with property management and project management, bringing a lot of project management, which is near and dear to my heart. I'm a project manager at heart. It's involving stakeholders at, the appropriate times and bringing them in earlier to your point makes the whole project more successful, but it's also
Mm,
part of that relationship where you're bringing people in, you're making them feel
that's right.
involved. And
Yeah,
then as part of that relationship, ultimately, the goal is for it to continue seamlessly without any issues moving forward. So I love that you're calling out that that communication is key because it really is important in making sure that that whole process,
absolutely.
it's a very
Yeah,
big deal. There's a lot of people involved. You got to make sure that people are aware of what's going on and what's coming in here.
that's
And
right.
your first year in consulting, I would love to talk a little bit more about those projects.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, it's been just over a year, and Jenna, I will tell you that I am not the super entrepreneurial person. I'm Yeah, no, 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 I never I'm great at making things better, but I never wanted to start a business or to be an entrepreneur. Perfectly fine with working for a company, giving them great work, and them giving me great pay. That was my idea. But, the company sort of came about, I after I took a rest. I felt that I needed some time to just, sort of disengage. I was really into, that company and the property management and the teams, and I just needed a minute to sort of disengage from that, just to
Absolutely.
settle my mind. I call it that I, unpacked myself after I sort of got the intentional rest, and I was very intentional about doing that. Um, I thought my plan was to go back and do the same thing at a different company at the same or higher level.
Yeah.
That was my plan.
Go with what you know.
And yeah, and I did. I went on a couple of interviews. Um, I thought they went great. The feedback was that they were great. The feedback was that we can't believe that you're available. We need to wrap this up. We'll call you, give us a couple of days, and then nothing, like nothing. And so I think as women, when there is a disappointment, we, maybe start to internalize and question ourselves. Like, what did I do wrong? Did I misunderstand? Did I?
Mhm.
And so um, while that was going on, I was also getting calls, and those calls were more of, "Hey, Miranda, I know that you're not with ABC company anymore. could you help us with this? Or do you have thoughts on this? Would you be willing to help us to hire the right people for this very important project?" And so I sort of thought of, am I, I'm looking so hard and being so disappointed by the no answers, that I'm missing all of the yeses, the possibilities and the
Yes.
yeses.
Yes.
And so that's really how the consulting business came about. It was just going with the
They
yeses.
found it.
And
Yes.
yeah,
Throwing
yeah.
like
And
and I
I
think
just I felt that it was the right thing. I had no idea. I didn't know how to get an LLC. I didn't know any of the things, but I knew that I had this expertise that was very valuable. And I've always wanted to help, to guide, to support. And it just made sense. And so I pursued it. And, within actually just within a few months, I got a call. So the company, it's a Fort Worth based company, and their client, they were going to be the management company for the Fort Worth stockyards, and they needed some help, some guidance, and but through the power of relationships, I had done a podcast earlier with one of the owners. And, so they reached out to me, we had a conversation, I showed them how I thought that I could help them, um, and it within just a few weeks, I was working on, like, this historically iconic project as one of my first major projects. So, that experience alone, I have this visual of myself when it clicked of what this could be. It's this visual of me sort of walking through this space, and the model fan is blowing my hair
yes,
back,
getting the
and
production in it.
the theme song is playing, and I'm just walking, and the rooms are silenced when I walk in because I found
Yeah, on the
the
room.
direction that I'm supposed to go, you know what I mean? And it's just that's how I felt of like, "I got it. This is how I, remain in an industry that I love, doing something specific that I love, and then that third piece of being able to help someone." So it all came together, and, it helped me to understand too, um, what I was thinking and feeling when I left my company, was that things were out of alignment. So, I had this great job. Home was great. We haven't talked much about the city council part
I
of
would
this
love to
yet.
jump into city council.
Yeah,
We've
and
done
so I
so much
have all these
interesting things.
major things, but they were just somehow not aligned. They weren't in sync.
Mhm.
And so the time away helped me to recalibrate and put those in sync. And then all of a sudden things just became clearer. So yeah, I'm a proponent of taking the time, prioritizing what's important, and just sort of stepping out there.
Well, and that's a beautiful, combination of intention behind your career, but also going with the flow, which
Yeah,
seemed like that should be in competition. But it's, no, I have intention behind my skills and my worth and my value. And
that's
I'm
right.
kind of going with the flow on where those opportunities are and
Mhm.
using your network and relationship. Because again, commercial real estate, it's a relationship business. We're all about finding those opportunities. So, when did you decide to join City Council? Why did you decide to join City Council?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So prior to being on city council, and I've been on city council for 2 years now, just over 2 years. I'll be starting, yeah, just over 2 years. So before that, I had been actively serving within the city for almost 15 years. So it wasn't, serving in the city at different levels wasn't new. But one of the things that I was, fortunate enough to be asked to do was to be the citizen liaison, for the city's comprehensive plan. So the city's 10-year plan of what will happen next. I was chosen to be the citizen to funnel citizen feedback in a way that made sense for this plan.
Wow,
And
for a 5-year plan.
yeah, for a city. And so
No
once
big
the
deal.
plan was done and it was beautiful and, of course, I didn't do so much of the work. I was just sort of the liaison. But once that
Consulting,
plan
sure.
was done, um, I wanted to make sure that it was implemented in the way that the citizens had said. And the only way that I could think that I would have the access and influence to ensure that that plan went as intended was to run for office. And
Amazing.
so I did.
And that opportunity of filling that gap, seeing something that needs to be done and just saying,
Yeah,
"Okay, I've got the
yeah,
knowledge or value, I'd be happy to step up and work in that." And so in terms of the city council and the work you've been doing with the city plan and, different commercial real estate projects, how has
yeah.
that kind of worked out for you, or how have you found that
Well,
implementation to be going?
yeah, it's been helpful having the background that I have specifically. Because coming in new on a very seasoned council and having a certain expertise that others don't have is very valuable. And so my perspective was immediately valued and heard, like immediately. So that was very helpful. But something that I gained from working on city council is being more intuitive and just like listening more intently, like listening to really understand what the issue is and asking better questions. I don't know. That alone, Jenna, has just been game changing to just take the time and you know, to funnel down to the real question so then we can get better answers more quickly. And it's more efficient, it's more transparent, and and I've loved it. The other thing that I can say, having been on, you know, the other side of a deal that is trying to get a city to let's move this along.
Yeah.
So now I've had, experience on both sides of it. So the one thing that I'm very proud of is the shift that the eh, city leadership, the city council has made into ensuring that we are not the obstacle in businesses moving forward.
Mhm.
We have done some really creative things, I think, to ensure that we are not the cog in the wheel. And so being able to do that, and having the background that I had, it was just very meaningful to me to be a part of that.
And that's so important because, as on my podcast earlier, I had Leslie Bissner, lender, and a lot of people see lenders as kind of the enemy. And of course, Leslie's fantastic, and they're not the enemy. And just like the city is not the
Yeah,
enemy, you want the projects to be successful
we'll try.
because you see the benefits for the city. What are some strategies or what recommendations do you have for people that might not be under your wonderful city councilor in Texas? Some strategies to work with their city council to kind of move projects forward?
Yeah. Well, I will give an example because I think it's a
Okay.
perfect example. So I mentioned this shopping center, this huge shopping center. It's a very important thing to our city. It's beautiful. And plus there's a sales tax generation part of it. So we want it to be successful. Um, but we were slowing down the process of new businesses coming because of the permitting process. And we want new restaurants, but we take forever with the alcohol license. So now we have just passed the ordinance that if you're in this particular business zone and you're opening a restaurant, if there was a restaurant there before if this is a second generation restaurant, you're going to skip a part of the process because we've already done that. And why are we making you do it again when you're going into the same building? The alcohol will be stored in the same place. All those boxes are checked. And so there's an automatic approval already. There's an understood approval. And it takes weeks off of that process.
Absolutely.
And
If not
yeah, and
longer.
it gives
Yeah.
us time back. It gives us some time back. So
I
just thinking about, where are the kinks, where are the bottlenecks, and focusing on how do we relieve those, is the one thing that I would suggest.
And I also hear a little bit, I might be inferring in terms of projects that you're bringing to the city, do a little bit of work to see that there's alignment with what the city wants. Because I heard you say you were looking for restaurants, and as a commercial broker coming in or someone in that industry coming in and saying, okay, what do you need and how can I, make my client happy, but also make the city
Yes.
happy? It's a lot
Yeah.
of that mediation back to that relationship management, which is so important, and communication and trying to figure out how to align it to the city's goals to help move that farther, faster, better, etc.
Yeah, Jenna, I think that that is the key to everything with developers, especially that are coming in to the city, is to really understand what the plan is. And in our case, we have a beautiful comprehensive plan
You've got a beautiful
that
plan in
tells,
your
that
hand.
tells, everything. It tells land use. If you want to develop in this area, you can only do these things. So just understanding that. And then if you come with something that we want and it's a part of our plan, boy, do we join in as super partners,
Yep,
to help you to get it done.
because again, you are partners. You are
That's
not
right.
a conflict to be addressed. You are a partner to be successful with, and I think that's an important distinction.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Before we wrap up, I like to end each episode with a quick little lightning round, just a few questions, rapid fire to get you more on a personal level. No right or wrong answers, just first thing that comes to mind here as we go through this. So, the first one I like to ask is, who's a woman in business or leadership that you admire right now?
Oh, this is a easy one. So there are actually 2, and it's interesting that one of them I've only met once in passing, but I am so blown away by what she's doing, and that is Allison S. Weiss.
Allison, yes. Shout out to
Yes,
Allison, my dear friend.
yeah, so she is absolutely amazing, and, the way that she saw this void in our industry. So she has, Women Speak, CRE, and, so it's a platform that, I believe you may have, found me that
Right,
way.
100%.
Yeah, so where women can go and talk about, how they speak, podcasts, things like that, and the topics, so that there is this sort of holding place for women speakers. And it's just such an opportunity, and I always admire when someone has this vision, and they take, action toward it, and especially when at the end there is an elevation for women. The other would be, it's a duo, they're sisters. Their company is called M2G, and
Yes.
Jessica and Susan. Um, they are, first of all, they're dynamic women,
Mm,
but they are the ones that, gave me the opportunity to work on the Fort Worth Stockyards, and they were very intentional about it. They advocated for me just because, and they have been great partners, and they've supported me along the way, and it's the same thing. They understood what I was trying to do. They had a need also, but they trusted me to do it, and they were very intentional about it. And so, I just, admire them, so much, and, I love that that's the direction that, that we women are taking in, providing intentional support for each other.
yes, absolutely. Great responses. Amazing women, really helping the industry. Thank you so much for sharing. The next question I like to ask is on our CBC quarterly values. So we have win together, do right, ownership mentality, and big hearted. When this comes out, our value will be big hearted. Is there one specifically that speaks to you most right now?
Yeah, I think they're all so they're all so good. I think I will go with Big Hearted, and it a part of that is because, um, when I made the decision to leave, a part of my unpacking was, um, I'm in, where commercial real estate can be a very, assertive environment,
Hmm.
and I had this preference to do it in a kind, compassionate way. it's just my way. It's my natural manner.
True to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't mean that I can't be tough or assertive, but that was my natural manner.
Mhm.
So, for me, being big-hearted was an affirmation for me that my preference for goodness wasn't a weakness, and I could actually use that as a superpower. And so I use being big-hearted, in how I move through the world, but certainly in how I, run my business.
That's an amazing answer, and that actually leads me to another question I love to ask, which is, what's an underrated leadership trait that you value?
Underrated. I think, we use the words, resilient so much now, uh, but I would say for me, it's, tenacity, and it's very different than
Great.
resilient. Um, and I say that because I feel that that is my top superpower is
Absolutely.
tenacity.
Relentless.
And so the root word of tenacity is this it's this from the same word as tentacles. So to dig in.
Yes.
And I mean, when there is a project or a problem, I dig in as if I had tentacles and I do not let go until there is some solution. And I think that that is something that's underrated.
I appreciate the distinction and the kind of the nuance of the language there because there is more of a persistent determination, but there's also more of that intention and strategy behind it,
Yep.
where it's not just resilience, staying strong and in the face of diversity, but also working until you have that solution that you need. So I would one
Yeah.
absolutely describe you as tenacious and having that tenacity. And
Yeah.
we think that's a great, great leadership trait. I always like to say curiosity because I had a couple very good leaders that were just so curious and I thought that was so underrated and the way they approached a lot of things, and so I just loved that answer as well.
I love
What
that.
well, last lightning round question here. What's giving you hope or energy in the industry right now?
Well, I have to say because, it connects to my business.
Please.
I love that people are seeing that, this true value in property management, and so many people are deciding to bring property management, in-house,
Absolutely.
and they're understanding that there has to be a strategy, um, and that it adds to, the ROI in a meaningful way. So that's, the one thing. And the other thing, and we've talked about it a little bit already, is just this sense from women that if if you need something and you can't find it, then build it, make it, create it.
Yes.
And for me, I just that's just so very meaningful and inspiring to me.
And that's honestly been a great theme throughout all of my podcast episodes so far is one, just ask. And if there's a gap, you just go for it.
Yeah,
There's no wrong way to
that's
do
right.
something if it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
It's my mentality of that.
yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Miranda, for the time today. It has been so lovely speaking with you on all of your amazing, intrepid adventures that you've had here, talking about successful property management. It's not just about keeping those buildings running anymore. There's that tech, there's that relationships, which is
Mhm.
huge. And I also loved what you were speaking about with city council. One of the things I like to say a lot is if you want someone to do something, make it easy to do. And so
That's
just
me.
going into that effort, researching 5, 10 minutes, going into AI, hey, how can I relate this to the city's
Yes.
current plan? Or
Yeah.
what is the city's current plan, rather, if you're not aware? I think that's great. Where can people connect with you or learn more about your work, your company? Happy 1 year anniversary. Where can
Thank
people
you.
connect with you?
Well, two ways. So my website has all of my contact information, and that is Transitions Interim PM.com. And then also, I am all things LinkedIn. So that's probably the fastest way to get me, is via LinkedIn. I have my business page, and then my company page. So either way, on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. And thank you so much again for the time today. If you would like to reach out to Miranda, learn more about her work, please do so via LinkedIn or via her website. This was so much fun. Thank you for playing along and sharing your professional expertise and a little bit of your personality with us today. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us on this episode of CRE with CBC Worldwide. Women of Coldwell Banker Commercial Edition. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next conversation with more inspiring women shaping the future of commercial real estate. Until next time, I am Jenna Hille. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon. Keep leading the way.